Hey guys, Mas is here from Zelda Dungeon with two lovely guests, and we are going to talk A Link Between Worlds. It's been about a little over 2 weeks since it came out, so Galen, we'll start with you. Galen, with some initial thoughts on A Link Between Worlds.
It's pretty good, yeah. I enjoy it, yeah. It's a good game.
Is it too early to say you're one of your favorite Zeldas?
No, probably not, actually. I'd put it in my top 3, at least. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Kara,
I loved it.
lived up to the hype for you?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. Let's jump into some of the specifics. I mean, A Link Between Worlds, I think it was known mostly because it sort of deviated from the regular Zelda formula a lot. Like, especially once you got into low rule. By the way, spoilers, everybody. The big thing is the dungeon order was, like, you had those options. You can go to any dungeon in any order you wanted to. And then there was the whole Ravio shop. You get the items as you can purchase the entire inventory, actually, once you get into low rule. What did you think of that mechanic, Kara, in general?
I liked how you could do that by going to different dungeons and just trying to figure out, ways, well, I guess paths you could potentially take that are different from everybody else. Like, for instance, I went to some that I know that you took differently.
Yeah. Did you feel there was like good difficulty progression through them? Like, did you find some to be much more difficult?
Some to be much more difficult, yes.
Anything specific?
Well, I know, I can't remember what one that was, the ice one?
Okay, the ice ruins, yeah.
That and I had a little trouble on, because I was trying to figure out how exactly to get to certain rooms and how to get farther. And say, I remember it taking me a long time to figure that one out.
Yeah.
And then when I did figure it out, it was alright.
Do you have any thoughts on the dungeon order?
I liked that there wasn't a set sequence, because I'm a big fan of sequence breaking in games in general. Especially like Super Metroid or Link to the Past, I would always try to figure out ways to break the flow. And this one just kind of gives you whatever order you want to do it in, so...
Did you play the original Legend of Zelda?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, that was like the first Zelda game where,
Yeah.
like, right from the beginning, I think you can go to 4 or 5 dungeons as the first dungeon.
Yeah.
Like right away. You don't even need to get your sword, you can just walk into the dungeons.
Yeah, and that's what I enjoy about games like that, is it?
Yeah.
You just kind of tackle it however you want.
This one wasn't quite to that level, at least not initially. But once you got to low rule, you can't go to all 7 of them. You can go to 6 of the 7 in low rule. But there was no, I don't really know if there was much of a difficulty difference really between some of them. Like, I played Thieves Town was the first one I went to in low rule, just because it was like right there.
Yeah, same here. It's the exact same reason.
And it didn't seem that difficult. I'd say in general, the dungeons themselves weren't that difficult in terms of, like, I didn't really die. I think getting to the ice ruins, going through Death Mountain, was kind of difficult.
Yeah, that was harder than the dungeon itself.
Is it the falling down those platforms and everything?
I nearly died on that part.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost. That was the closest I got to dying the whole playthrough.
So what about the items? Did you get all the items like as soon as you possibly could? Did you go rent the entire inventory?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
What do you think of the system in general, like compared to the classical, classic Zeldas? You go to a dungeon, you find an item, you use it in that dungeon for puzzles, and then you beat the boss with it, and then never use it again usually.
I liked it better, because, yeah, I just liked it better. For reasons! I did like it better.
Okay. What did you think about it in general?
I liked it. I also liked how, in a sense, I guess it made more, logical sense that it worked that way, because why would you as a boss put the item that would kick your butt in your own dungeon?
Yeah.
And you want to make it more difficult for them to kill you?
Yeah.
I mean, and then as far as the system of having to buy weapons stuff, I know like in previous Zelda games, I always found it kind of funny how like you would buy all the stuff, and then of course like the merchant wouldn't have anything to sell anymore, so he would essentially go broke.
Yeah.
But of course, with the renting and everything, it kind of, it made sense where it's like, I can see how he could live off that, but,
Yeah, and when I was playing through the game, going to the rupees, like, my first time through, I wasn't really 100%ing it and doing everything, and, like, I was at the very end of the game, like at the last dungeon before Low Castle, when I finally had enough rupees to buy all the items. So it wasn't like one of those things where, like, I don't know how it was for you guys, but, like, did you, like, buy every single item and then you had no use at all for whatsoever for your rupees? Like,
Yeah, because
that happened to you?
about the third thing I did when I got the low rule was I found that tower with the arena stuff, and I did that really early on. So I was
okay.
I had friggin' bank.
You get
So
that's really meant to be a late game thing.
I'm aware of that now because it got really hard with only like 10 hearts.
Yeah.
And like 2 bottled fairies.
So do you guys have any particular items that you always like had equipped?
Hookshot.
Hookshot.
Always.
Okay.
It's my favorite Zelda item though.
Yeah. I never really used the hookshot in this other than when it needed to be used.
I used it all the
Rarely
time.
used.
I was so stoked when I got to the water temple. It's like, yeah, finally, reason to have this always. It's the first one I upgraded too. It's the first one I bought, first one I upgraded. I just found the hookshot.
Yeah.
It's cool.
I think for me it probably was the bow and arrow. I'm not sure what I use the most, but I know I like to use that one. And then of course the fire rod and all, ice rod and all those others.
I had my first playthrough, I wasn't doing a complete run through of it. I got some of the Mai-Mais, but not all of them.
Yeah.
So I had upgraded my ice rod. And the upgraded ice rod I thought was very powerful because you get to drop like 4, you guys upgrade the ice rod?
Oh yeah.
Okay. You get to drop like 4 pieces of ice at the same time, and it covers a large area. And I used that all the time. That was always one of the 2 items I had equipped. And I liked it. I thought it was good. Did you like the item upgrades in general? Did you upgrade any of them? Or?
Oh yeah, I upgraded like 7 of them.
Okay, so you got most of the Mai-Mais.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, they're not hard to find.
What did you think of the upgrades in general?
Pretty cool. Some of them were like, really gonna. I don't know why I upgraded the sand rod.
I don't even know what that did.
I think.
You shoot 6 pillars up instead of 3 or whatever, something like that.
Yeah, you make like a really long row when compared to you can make like a few pop up.
Yeah.
That's probably the least functional item in the game.
Yeah.
Well, except maybe during the boss battle.
Yeah, well,
I can see it being useful then.
The
Or the tornado
rod.
rod.
The
That was
tornado
pretty-
rod's the other one.
What? How does that upgrade? I didn't upgrade that one.
I think it just
It
I think
it
you
makes
just
it
go
a little bit wider, and you can actually
stun enemies.
stun
at a
enemies,
wider
hurt
range.
them if you hit them twice with it. You can actually kill them if you hit them twice. Well, for me anyway.
I think those items suffered from the traditional Zelda uselessness in
Yeah.
terms of items.
Yeah.
Like Twilight Princess immediately comes to mind.
The spinner.
The spinner, yeah, the spinner was awesome.
Oh
in that
yeah, it
one
was rad
dungeon,
for one time. Yeah.
and then you never used it.
Yeah.
See, that was a problem because you got that. That was the 4th dungeon of the game, so you were about halfway through, and you still had a bulk of the game to go through. But in this game, the tornado rod, you needed that for either the 2nd or 3rd dungeon, the House of Gales,
Yeah.
and you actually never need it again for the rest of the game.
I never
Well,
used it again.
You
You
can-
needed
other than
it during
for-
certain sequences, like for instance, I think when you were trying to find the guy at the boggle up in the mountain, where you needed it to, well, either that or something else, but you needed it to, like, to go up to an upper platform. But other than that, that was all you needed it for.
Yeah, it was well, that was optional though. Those were optional quests to get heart. You needed one to get a heart piece over there, like on Death Mountain in Low Rule.
Very situational item.
Yeah, like that's one of the items you can rent when you first need it, and then you never need to buy it. As well as the boomerang. Boomerang is a completely optional item for the main quest.
I think I used it twice.
In one of the treasure hunter
exactly,
caves. I like that actually.
Yeah,
I like
those are
the
cool.
fact that there were items that were.
Yeah.
Some items were missing, but we'll get to that in a bit. First, what do you guys think? Overall initial thoughts, I guess, or thoughts on the storyline. I know Zelda is not really. I'm not a big storyline guy when it comes to Zelda. It really is second to me. It's not too important, but I like the Link to the Past story, and this, I wouldn't say it was the same, but it was quite similar.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the story?
I really liked it. I mean, it wasn't, you know, like, for the original Link to the Past, you know, it was like that where there wasn't really much there, but from what I saw of it, I liked it.
So you liked it?
Yes.
Okay.
It's
good.
Yeah.
It was good.
It's pretty, yeah. Oh, I liked the little plot twist.
What do you think of Yuga as a?
It's interesting.
Okay.
It's like Ganon with dreadlocks. Okay.
Yeah.
Spoilers. So yeah. Yeah.
What's with this feminine males they have
I
as
know, right?
Girahim from Skyward Sword?
Well,
Man.
Even
well, for some people,
Body.
well, and girls in particular, that's attractive to them. Or something.
Oh. So were you attracted to Yuga?
No, it's
Make you
just,
blush like, oh, Yuga. And then his music, Yuga.
It harkened back to the days of Sephiroth, but with dreadlocks.
well, Sephiroth, I can see why people would see that being attractive, but him is like, it's a clown person. Why do you, that's just like,
Yeah.
The storyline it
if
had,
you're for that, okay, go ahead.
it had a lot of like,
Me, no.
Are you not down with the clown?
the storyline may had a lot of like Spirit Tracks like elements where a lot happened at the beginning of the game. The very first like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was that one scene at the end of the Eastern Palace when you fight Yuga. And then you finish Hyrule, the first 3 dungeons, and there's this twin. And then there's nothing for the next 7 dungeons really.
Yeah.
And you just play the game. It's mostly the gameplay. And then you finally, reach the climax at the end. So it was like pockets of storyline. There was really only like 4 times in the whole game where there was actually storyline.
Yeah.
Outside when you talk to the sages after you beat them, and
Yeah.
Hilda gives you those.
Yeah, but every time that you beat one of the sage dungeons, there's a scene that just shows her talking to Portrait of Zelda
Yeah,
and just saying stuff.
yeah. It was like little itsy bitsy story
Yeah.
pieces. I do like that the sages in this game actually had character a
Yeah.
little bit. Like you interacted with them to an extent. It was not as much as like Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
You
with
really
those-
knew those sages. And
Yeah.
with this one, it's like I think most people probably beat the game, probably wouldn't even be able to name all 7 of the sages. Like
Oh, there's the witch.
okay, go 7 of them. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, names? Are you kidding me? That's not gonna happen.
How about just if you can name the 7?
All right. All right.
You said the witch,
Yeah, there's the witch, the boy with the blacksmith. Yeah.
Gully,
Blacksmith son.
yes.
Yeah, Gully. Yeah. Let's see. There's,
Irene is the witch, by the way.
Thank you. The Zora chick.
Yes, the Zora chick.
Yeah.
Queen
Look.
Ortha? Or
Look, don't
Ortha?
expect me to remember names.
Orin.
Orin. Yeah, it's a no. Alright, you got 3.
Let's see. The minor.
Yes.
One of them? Okay.
Rasso.
Yeah.
Rosso. Okay.
And Impa.
Impa.
Obviously.
The fellow that bought the sand rod, whatever
Yes.
his name was. Or rented it, rather.
Asfala? Something like that, yeah.
And, cripes.
Do you know which one she's missing?
Yes,
She's-
the sanctuary girl.
The Sanctuary Girl.
Yeah.
Ceres.
Yes.
Ceres. Oh, great.
See? I remember the one now.
Okay.
Impa.
But you see, you recognize them as, oh, that was the
Yeah,
Zora
yeah,
one,
yeah.
that was the Minor, that was the Witch, that,
Yeah.
at least they had some sort of character, like, what was the...
I can say I wasn't expecting the minor to be one of the sages.
That was also one thing I liked about this one, whereas in Ocarina of Time, you interacted, like this one, you interacted with all the sages. But in Ocarina of Time, you could somewhat tell they would be important later, just because, I guess how you interacted with them, you knew you'd meet them later, and stuff like that. Whereas this one, you interacted with them very little, but it wasn't enough to really get something to say, oh, they're going to be important later. And
Yeah.
then of course later on when you are going through the Dark World and you see all the portraits and you're like, oh, I didn't know that person was a sage. I didn't know.
Yeah.
Whereas like in the other ones you meet them all and of course they're really big significant characters
Yeah.
and you automatically can tell, they have
Yeah.
something, important later they have to do. Where
There's definitely more, in general, comparing it to A Link to the Past, since that's the most comparable game, a lot more notable characters in this game, I'd say. Like, when people look back to A Link to the Past, they can name, like, Link, Agnem, Ganon, Zelda. And then after that, it's like, the old man, Sahasrahla.
Sahasrahla. I don't know.
Yeah, but it's like, over here you can name, we just named all the sages. There's the minor characters too. Like, what do you think of, like, any random characters that stood out to you as, like, kind of quirky or weird?
The bomb flower shop guy was rapping, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, so yeah, that guy.
I like the mask guy too. I don't know if that was a reference, I assume, to George Mask a little bit, like the end of the world, or.
Yeah.
Well, I could say it also being a reference somewhat to the original Link to the Past, whereas the inhabitants you came across there, they were like creatures.
Yeah.
And like there's this one guy sitting there in the thieves' town that has a mask that looks like one of the creatures from Link to the Past that you talked to.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was somewhat a reference to that
Yeah.
as well.
I liked him though. I thought he was a good character. Maybe. I thought there was gonna be more to it. Like, I thought there was gonna be a side quest involving him. But what do you think of the side quests in general? I mean, there was the Mai, that's the collectibles. They were okay. I mean, it was just,
It's definitely easier than the damn gold Skulltulas.
well, I liked the Skulltulas because there was
I
more.
liked them, but it was,
I mean, like 95 of the 100 Mai you could get by lifting up a rock,
yeah.
dashing in with the Pegasus boots, or merging against the wall.
Yeah.
There was like 3 you needed the tornado rod, and maybe 2 you needed the sand. Like, I wish there was more variety, more puzzles
I
involved.
can agree with that. Yeah.
Or their Zora flip. I mean, they were okay though. Then there was the heart pieces. There was 28 of them. Did you get all? Did you get all the? I got all the heart pieces. You got almost all of them.
I still got some left.
Yeah. Nothing too different. Some were really easy. I mean, they're heart pieces.
I liked it when I could see one, like, but I didn't know how to get it. Since with the map on the bottom screen, I could just drop a pin there and be like, all right, I'll come back to that later when I have that item.
Oh,
So that was
you
kinda
used
cool.
the pins.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah.
I never did.
Oh, there's a heart container there. I'll remember that later. Then
That's-
later I'm like, why did I put pins there?
I like the pins. Like, that's one of those things they didn't explain. It's just in the
It's
game,
just there.
and just use it. Like,
Yeah.
that's cool. I didn't use it until I was working on the guide, and I used it when I was
Yeah,
taking
the-
pictures with the
Yeah, I
pins.
saw that. Yeah.
But
In reference to interesting characters, the previous question you asked, one I can think of is like this one enemy that you meet in Dark World, where
the Hynix, right?
yes, you meet him in like this waterfall cave, and of course he like basically is telling you, that, but don't tell anyone that I'm here.
Yeah.
I'll give you money, and then of course you have the option to keep on taking them, or just tell them no, that's fine. And me, I took all the rupees because I wasn't sure when it was gonna stop, and then he eventually gets so ticked off at me. He's like, "You took all my rupees. I'm mad. I want it back." And he starts charging at me, trying to kill me. And the thing is, I'm sitting there trying to attack him. He won't die. He won't get hurt. He's invulnerable. So I think killing characters like that, like him, was really interesting.
I also let my greed get the best of me. For shame.
What about the various side quests? Did you do many of the side quests, like the mini games?
Oh yeah.
There was the baseball game.
That took me forever to get.
Well, we didn't know at first that. I think the person told you if you hit 3 of them in a row, then the bird comes,
Yeah.
and you need to get the bird to get the.
Yeah.
But that was okay. It
was all right, but
it's good for 5
it took me
minutes.
a little while to get the hang of it.
There was the what
Get
other
the timing
ones?
right to get the big jars.
There was the Rupee Rush game.
That's,
With the timer, the stuff.
Crazy.
I was using an online stopwatch so I could get 29.
I was just like, all right.
Yeah. Anything about the mini games you like?
Maybe the Cuckoo game?
Yeah, the Cuckoo game, I don't know if you know, did you do the 3 levels of the Cuckoo game?
Yeah.
There's the beginner, intermediate, and hard.
I did the, like...
Then there's the endless mode.
Yeah.
Do you know, apparently, I haven't gotten it yet, if you last the endless mode for 999 seconds, you win a giant cuckoo. I believe that's in the premium games guide.
I lasted about 4 minutes or so.
Okay. Yeah, I got it. I think I got 320 seconds. So I'm first one 999 seconds. That's over 15 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a long time. That's not that
I lasted
easy.
a good while, and then
It changes
something
every,
distracted me, like my ADHD, like oh.
It changes every 60 seconds. What cuckoos come after you. But I like that they added something just outrageously hard in there.
Fun.
Yeah, I know.
Because I've always been a fan of just stabbing the chickens till they attack me.
Yeah.
Because that's hilarious.
Yeah.
I found the 3D to be extremely helpful on that one.
On that.
Whereas,
Agreed.
whereas there's some that just will fly over you, so you can use that to figure out, oh, okay, they're going to fly over me. Okay, just move around.
Did you use the 3D effect, by the way?
A good bit. I usually hate it in games, but
I know,
I tried
yeah.
it in this one, and I was like, oh, this actually looks tolerable.
It's in my opinion, this was by far the best use of a 3D, through the 3D dynamic. It doesn't add anything to the game. It makes it more visually
It
appealing.
does look very good.
It worked.
Yeah.
Even with Ocarina of Time, I have trouble finding that zone in it.
Ocarina of Time was the game that came with my 3DS, and I played it in 3D
Not happening.
oh. But this one, yeah, it worked really good.
Yeah, and they never pushed it, never promoted it, and it's like the best 3D game.
Yeah.
At least in my opinion, from what I've played.
It's kind of like Fire Emblem. I only used it in the cutscenes.
Exactly.
Pokemon, you could only use it on 1-versus-1 fights and in a couple caves. It's like,
Yeah.
why is it not usable everywhere?
It's
Oh, right, because it would give kids headaches because they're playing Pokemon for 800 hours.
And it's like, well, that's why you have parental controls. And you
Yeah,
can go in and say, oh,
absolutely.
turn it off.
Yeah.
Or get them to 2DS.
So, one of the things I was greatly looking forward to, was the music. Because they had a lot of reorchestrated versions or upgrades of the initial version. I personally have a mixed bag. I have a lot of nostalgia for the original music. And something like when we got to the Lower World, the Lower World theme was like the Dark World theme, but it just didn't have the same. I don't know. It was good. It was good music, but not the same. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Hey, man.
I do like the low roll music, but it's kind of like also my brother. I played that song for him, and he also said, "Yeah, I like the original better."
Yeah.
So
the nostalgia it won't go away.
I'll agree on that one, but hearing that.
The Hyrule Castle thing was weak in this game too.
That Dark World Death Mountain theme again.
oh yes,
That was good.
Nailed it. That made me happy.
That was good actually.
That was probably my favorite song from the original Link to the Past.
Mhm.
So they nailed it, and I was pretty stoked.
And I think Hilda's theme, I like that one.
Yeah.
That one was really.
I like Yuga's theme. Yuga. Yuga. He's saying his name.
Crazy symphonic stuff, yeah.
Yeah, and then you could go to the bar, in the milk bar, and the guy plays the guitar and he plays all songs from other Zelda games. Right?
That was cool.
Yeah, that was
Pay
fun.
10 rupees each, and he'll play them for probably a good minute or two.
What all does he play? Because I only did it once.
Well,
We heard Gerudo Valley. didn't
Yeah,
we?
that's the one I heard, yeah.
We heard
Heard Yuga's theme, Hilda's theme,
The-
Zelda's theme,
the
the
original Legend of Zelda,
Overworld,
the original Legend of Zelda dungeon theme.
Oh,
the
nice.
Overworld
I
theme.
always like that one.
Kakariko Village was one.
Sweet.
So a lot of the in-game music
Cool.
plus a
Yeah.
few.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing I want to touch upon was things that you didn't like, or things that they could have added to the game or to improve it.
Dungeons could have been a bit longer. I
Bit
mean, I
longer,
like
okay.
them, but there were a few that
A
were
lot of
kinda
them there were only like 5 or Turtle Rock was 2 rooms.
So short.
It was
yeah.
2 rooms.
Two-
It really was
yeah,
2 rooms.
yeah.
Granted, it was like a
And
15,
a couple
20,
feet. Yeah.
20
That
minute
was the one
dungeon.
I think I had the
Yeah.
most trouble on.
But it's short. I mean,
Yeah.
there's no vastness of that.
Some of them I just breezed through so fast. I was like, oh man.
Like other ones, like the Tower of Hera was like 14 floors, but
Yeah, I know,
you
but
go through a
each one
floor
was,
in
yeah.
10, 20, 30 seconds or whatever.
Yeah.
It wasn't as big.
I mean, there were some good puzzles and stuff involved, and a lot of good stuff going on in them, but they were just small.
Yeah.
Well, of course for me, I do have little bitty problems I don't like. It's just little nostalgia things. Like for instance, whenever Link goes up the stairs and you hear the little tick 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 noise. Well, in the original, whenever he got up, it would still make the noise. This and it doesn't. It just these little things like that. Of course, it's just nostalgia. But as far as game, I will say some of the bosses I thought were a little too easy.
Yeah.
Some of them I just thought were like. I mean, I know like even in the original, there was of course me playing it all, a lot. They're not as hard as they could be, but still they had some difficulty to them. Like even now, Moldorm, I still have problems on that in the original.
Oh, this Moldorm was so much easier.
Oh yeah, he was a lot easier. Whereas in the original, it's like I always dreaded fighting him because I knew he was gonna knock me off of that platform like 3 or 4 times. So
I actually think the Link's Awakening version of Moldorm is harder than Link
man, yeah.
But
that's the hardest version of that boss.
It's so big.
Yeah. It's such a small area.
To me, I have a lot of little complaints. I'm always a critic, but did you guys do the Treacherous Tower, like the gauntlet?
Yeah.
That was the weakest enemy gauntlet, I think, in the whole series.
Yeah. That was...
I think we got it. It first started, I believe, in Wind Waker. It had the Savage Labyrinth. Remember that one?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Twilight Prince, which was okay. It was good. Twilight Princess: The Cave of Ordeals.
I love that one.
That was much
awesome.
better than the Savage Labyrinth. Phantom Hourglass didn't have anything. Spirit Tracks had the Take 'em on All challenge. Did you ever do that one?
I never played Spirit Tracks. Here's the part where I get kicked out of the...
Yeah.
You on this
couch! To me, that was by far the best enemy gauntlet there was, because you refought all the bosses, and at the end of the gauntlet, there was a brand new boss that wasn't in the rest of the game in the form of
that sounds great.
Dark Link.
I had played that a little bit, but I never did get all the way in.
That was hard too. It was very hard. You can't just do 5 bottles of blue potion. I thought the Treacherous Tower in this game was a little too easy, and I don't know why.
I mean, I breezed through it with 10 hearts and the green tunic,
Yeah.
and only 2 bottles with berries in them. So yeah, it was a little easy.
They put Moldorm at the end.
Yeah.
Why couldn't they put the other bosses in there? Just put every single one of them in there. That would be awesome. I mean, you did that, like Skyward Sword had the boss gauntlet mode,
right.
and Ocarina of Time 3D had the boss gauntlet mode. Spirit Tracks did that, it's like they added new features and then regressed otherwise.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, those type of things, that should be for the niche, hardcore Zelda that wants the Zelda fan that wants the hardest challenge.
Yeah.
I think, there was the hero mode, which I understand you two haven't really played much of yet. So
I've started to file, I just hadn't gotten to any dungeons yet.
Quick story that I think I've told. I was playing the hero mode and I was doing a 100% run of the game at the same time, and I was trying to go through it without dying, but I was not really playing that cautious. So I wanted to get all the heart pieces as soon as I possibly could. So at this point I just entered Lorule, and I had 11 heart containers. Full health too. And I was going through Death Mountain to get one of the heart containers. And there's a Lionel, the Lionel, and it shot fire at me, it spits fire, and I got hit. And with 11 hearts of damage, I died. Because it does 3 hearts of damage normally. With the hero mode, that's 12 hearts of damage.
Ooh.
So I died when I had 11 hearts in one hit.
That's brutal.
That is crazy. I did die. After just saying about the Treacherous Tower, I actually did die in the Treacherous Tower on hero mode. Granted, I didn't have any potions. I had a few fairies, and then I didn't have the item upgrades. I had all the hearts though, and I had the gold sword, but so I mean that is a challenge. The 4 times damage is a challenge. So we touched on almost everything. A few things we left, but any final thoughts? Like, how would you rank it amongst your Zelda games?
It is, it's in my top 5, I will say.
A Link to the Past was your favorite.
It is still my favorite, but this one is number 2, and it's very close up there.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the only thing probably keeping A Link to the Past there is just pure nostalgia.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love that game, and it's just like almost there.
I would say it dethrones The Adventure of Link from my number 3 spot.
Oh.
It's still not gonna top Wind Waker and Majora's Mask.
Okay.
That's,
You're a console guy.
yeah.
To me, I think it's too early for me to judge. Because I know the past few Zelda games, like Skyward Sword did this and Spirit Tracks did this, where like I played the game 4 times through already, because doing the guide and everything. And what I feel initially after I played it once, then after I played them like 4 times, and then 6 months down the road, it constantly changes. Like Skyward Sword, after I beat it 4 times in that first month, I got sick of it and I didn't really like it. At least I'm not having that feeling with A Link Between Worlds. So I think it's a good game. I think it has things that I would have liked them to do.
Yeah.
Every Zelda game has that. But I think it's in the middle of the road for me, maybe slightly on the one of the better ones. Maybe it cracks my top 6 or 7. But I'm not ready to put it on the same class as A Link to the Past, or some of my other favorite games like Link's Awakening and Oracle of Ages, and some of my personal favorite Zelda games. But it's pretty good.
Trust me, it's hard for me to say it dethrones the Adventure of Link.
I know you're
I'm a
Adventure
big
of Link.
fan of
I'm a big
Zelda
Adventure
too.
of Link fan too.
It's rare we've got 2 Zelda 2 fans in a room together.
Yes. Isn't that like illegal?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Well, second time y'all told me to leave.
So on that note, before anything dangerous happens,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and that's our A Link Between Worlds Roundtable. So let us know what you thought, and we will see you guys later.
Bye.
Uh,